In the midst of a 1990s superhero renaissance, a team of modern-day samurai appear in magical armor to face the darkest forces of evil. A little bit Power Rangers, a little bit Voltron, a little bit Ninja Turtles. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Ronin Warriors. Thank you to Mythic Legion's Tactics War of the Aether Blade for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below to support the Kickstarter campaign today. Mythic Legion's Tactics War of the Aether Blade brings the popular fantasy toy line onto the screen for the very first time in this action-packed turn-based strategy and tactics game. This high fantasy adventure comes to life as players can choose different factions, customize their characters, and build campaigns with this innovative new title. Created by the award-winning Four Horsemen Studios, Mythic Legions is a collectible line of customizable action figures set in the world of Mythos, where the legions of good and evil are racing to find ancient mystical relic weapons and battle for control of the kingdom. Already a breakout hit with toy collectors who have backed many successful Kickstarter campaigns, Four Horsemen Studios and Great Hall Game Studios are now inviting fans new and old to become backers of the video game and enter into an immersive world of heroic warriors, evil broods, and splinter factions. Learn more about Mythic Legion's Tactics War of the Aether Blade by visiting the Kickstarter page, where you'll find in-progress gameplay footage and images, a full list of stretch goals, exclusive figure offers, and descriptions of the backer packages. Mythic Legion's Tactics War of the Aether Blade will be playable on PC, Android, and iOS platforms at launch. Join the Kickstarter to get the video game and an exclusive set of beautifully sculpted, highly collectible action figures. Thanks again to Mythic Legion's Tactics War of the Aether Blade for sponsoring this video. Ronin Warriors is a 39-episode animated series that aired in the United States beginning in 1995 with rebroadcasts in 1996 and 1999 on the Cartoon Network and the Sci-Fi Channel. It centers on a team of 5 teenage magic samurai warriors, heroes in feudal helms, Bushido power. 1,000 years ago, the Demon Emperor Talpa crossed over from the Netherrealm and succeeded in his mission to rule the living world. His armored physical form, powered by terrible dark energies, rendered him impervious to all human weapons. His might was supreme, his rule seemingly infinite. Until one day, a solitary warrior of virtue and justice emerged, the Ancient One. Drawing upon mystical forces from beyond with his tiger, White Blaze, by his side, the Ancient One defeated Talpa, casting him back to the Netherrealm. Talpa's spirit was imprisoned, but his horrible dark armor remained. Talpa's armor could not be destroyed. The Ancient One knew that the only way to keep Talpa's spirit imprisoned, to assure that he could not reclaim his armor, was to break it into smaller pieces, diffusing its power and entrusting the 9 separate suits to 9 warrior families. And for 600 years, the 9 families kept the armors safe. But Talpa began searching for the armors. 4 were simple, as they had fallen into the hands of weak men with weak hearts who lusted for power. Even in his weakened state, Talpa could manipulate them with ease. They became his dark warlords: Anubis, Deus, Sekhmet, and Kale. By the late 20th century, Talpa was strong enough to begin his campaign of revenge and once again attempt to conquer Earth. But first, he was going to have to deal with the new owners of the remaining 5 armors. 5 teenagers of exceptional strength, fortitude, honor, and wisdom. Ryo, Sai, Sage, Rowan, and Kento are all that stand between the complete domination of our world by the powers of the Netherrealm. Talpa, ruler of the evil dynasty, and his dark warlords will wait no longer. They will bring death, destruction, and tyranny forever, unless the Ronin Warriors can stop them. Ronin Warriors was an English adaptation of the Japanese animated series Yoroiden Samurai Torupa, or Legendary Armor Samurai Troopers, which was broadcast in Japan from April of 1988 to March of 1989, 7 years before it arrived in the US. Legendary Armor Samurai Troopers was co-produced by Sunrise Animation and Nagoya TV. It was created by Hajime Yatate, or in Japanese, Yatate Hajime, who isn't a person, it's more like an idea. Hajime Yatate is the collective of creators at Sunrise Animation, sometimes referring to the writers, sometimes referring to the animators, sometimes referring to the entire team. It draws its inspiration from a literary work of Japanese poet Matsuo Basho called Oku no Hosomichi, or The Narrow Road to the Deep North. Koreo Yatate no Hajime Toshite Ikumichi naho Suzumazu. This was the first time I used my travel writing implements, and I was still reluctant to venture farther. In other words, Hajime Yatate can be loosely translated as the first time, or the beginning, a great name for the team of creators bringing a vision to life for the first time. Sunrise and Nagoya TV were looking to get into the armored superhero action after the wildly successful Toei-produced Saint Seiya animated adaptation of the wildly successful Saint Seiya comics. Saint Seiya drew its magically powered armor inspiration from Greek mythology, legendary armor samurai troopers pulled from multiple sources. 5 good and 4 evil armors are based on tenets of Neo-Confucianism mixed with Bushido. Each armor possessed a specific component of power with a corresponding power set and color coding. Loyalty, serenity, piety, and obedience for the bad guys, justice, trust, wisdom, life, and virtue for the good guys. The popularity of legendary armor samurai troopers in Japan made it an easy target for adaptation in other international markets, especially after the explosion in popularity of Saban's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 1993. Suddenly, importing pre-existing brands was hot again. Everything you need is there. You don't even have to re-edit everything for localization purposes. You can just re-record the dialogue in a different language, and that's what happened. Graz Entertainment licensed it, Sinar distributed it, the voice acting cast members of Ocean Productions in Vancouver dubbed it. It was renamed Ronin Warriors and rolled out for first-run syndication in the United States for the summer of 1995. And for what it's worth, Ronin Warriors is known for being a particularly faithful adaptation of the original Japanese series, where previous imports like Macross as Robotech, Go Lion as Voltron, or Gatchaman as Battle of the Planets had been heavily altered to make them palatable for the young Western audience. Ronin Warriors just used different theme songs. And look, there's a lot of characters in this story, and it would take way too much time to go through all of them individually. Their stories, their powers, their finishing moves, their relationship status, their specific Bushido-inspired significance in the mythology. It's too much. There's the 5 Ronin warriors, Ryo, Rowan, Kento, Sai, and Sage, the 4 Dark Warlords, Anubis, Sekhmet, Kale, and Deus, Talpa, the Ancient One, Blaze the White Tiger, the Ronin's friend Mia, the 8-year-old boy Yuli that she takes care of, Batamon, Lady Kyura, Mukala, all of them sharing a comparable amount of screen time. Scream time? On top of that, there are English names, other international market names, and the original Japanese names. For instance, in the English version, he's Anubis. In Brazil, he was called Demon. His original Japanese name was Shutendoji, which, by the way, is the name of a Japanese demon which the Ronin warriors could have easily defeated in the traditional Japanese manner by throwing roasted soybeans at him, or get a beans cannon. What a savory way to go.
Samurai Warriors, aquí están. Héctor, Tommy, César, Jorge, Tristán. Defensores de la tierra contra la dinastía del mal. Guerreros con misteriosos poderes samurái y asombrosas armaduras, dotadas con un arma secreta que dará el golpe definitivo a la dinastía del mal. Samurai Warriors son de Ojeda, juguetes para compartir.
I don't want to spubble Mr. Bubbles' tubtails for you, so we're just gonna... Did I say soil?
You said spubble.
Fresh off his performance as Raphael in 1993's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Ryo was played by Matt Hill, who you might also recognize as the Game Master himself, Captain N. Or perhaps your ear is catching the hammer-headed jab from Head Shark! The Ancient One was brought to life by David, sometimes Optimus, sometimes Megatron K. Talpa was played by Mina E. Mina. The rest of the cast featured Jason Gray Stanford, Michael Donovan, Ward Perry, Scott McNeil, Paul Dobson, Jane Perry, and Matt Smith, among others. After its initial run in 1995, Ronin Warriors would return in 1996 on the Sci-Fi Channel, and then again from 1999 through 2001 as part of Cartoon Network's Toonami Midnight Run and Rising Sun. In 1995, Playmates Toys released a whole line of Ronin Warriors action figures licensed from Bandai's Samurai Troopers line, covered head to toe in removable armor accessories. Each figure had power coil inner spring articulation in their arms and legs, which lets you deliver powerful strikes to all your other action figures. 11 figures in all, which, if you do the math, is more than you would expect if non-armored characters like the Ancient One, Mia, Yuli, and the Tiger White Blaze are excluded from the line, which they are. Talpa, Anubis, Kale, Sekhmet, and Deus for the evil side, Ryo, Rowan, Sai, Sage, and Kento for the good side. What's the 11th armor? Who is Hariel? Legend has it that Hariel was one of the few alterations made to the Samurai Troopers mythology for the Western audience. See, when the situation demands more than just the combined efforts of the 5 Ronin warriors, 4 of the warriors, Sai, Sage, Rowan, and Kento, can temporarily transfer their powers entirely to Ryo, who can then fuse all 5 powers together Voltron style. In the show, Ryo's red armor, called Armor of Wildfire, turns white, shifts shapes, and takes on the new nearly uncontrollable superpowered appearance called Armor of Inferno. With respect to the toys, it's a white armored figure with Ryo's head on it. This white armor was included in the line since it was part of the Bandai line, but Playmates thought it needed a new name so as not to confuse it with the other Ryo figure already offered in the line. Can't have American shoppers thinking there's two of the same guy in the line. Might not buy both of them. Dan gestures to 9 different Optimus Primes on the shelf behind him. So the Armor of Inferno, the combined form of the Ronin armors, was said to have previously been worn by a character named Hariel, who was both a Dark Warlord and a Ronin warrior. Also, his spirit might still haunt the combined white form of the armor, which explains why it can be difficult for Ryo to control. There were no original comics produced in the Western market for Ronin warriors, but the Japanese manga adaptation was collected into various releases from 1988 through 1990, many of which could be acquired in other markets by the time Samurai Troopers was adapted as Ronin warriors. In Japan, there were several supporting novels and audio dramas for Yoroiden Samurai Troopers, as well as 3 animated sequel chapters in 2003 titled Gaiden, The Legend of the Inferno Armor, and Message, a total of 11 new episodes. In 2004, Bandai Entertainment released a Ronin Warriors Complete Collection, which featured the entire 39-episode series on double-sided DVDs. One side has the original Japanese version, the English version on the other. The set also includes all 3 of the animated sequels. In 2015, Discotek Media released the series again on DVD, but this time with English subtitles and no 1995 Ocean redub, potentially a rights issue where they could acquire the visuals, but not Ocean's audio. But if you don't feel like tracking down and paying for the physical media, you can watch the entire 39-episode series on a variety of online streaming services, including Retro Crush TV, Tubi TV, and Amazon Prime Video. Some of those services also have the 3 animated sequels. To this day, Ronin Warriors still has an active fan base, which has been recognized by action figure companies in Japan. Doyusha has released 6-inch scale model kits. Sentinel and Bandai have both released modern 6-inch scale versions of some of the characters from Ronin Warriors. But they are expensive. There is a market for these figures, but it's limited, and the prices reflect that. In July of 2020, massive multiplayer online role-playing game Ragnarok Mobile teamed up with Samurai Troopers for a crossover event. Minigames, combat, in-world events, character skins, all themed to Samurai Troopers or Ronin Warriors, whichever your pleasure. Ronin Warriors was popular in Japan before it came to the West, but once it did, it connected with the Western audience as well, helping to introduce another generation of animation fans to the anime experience. It capitalized on the trends that had already been pushing forward in the West with superhero television shows and toys like the X-Men, Ninja Turtles, and Power Rangers. It was a bridge from the visual aesthetic and narrative pacing that evolved through the 80s and 90s, setting the table for all the bigger, bolder series of the early 2000s. It centered a team of teenage superheroes around principles of Eastern philosophy and religion, and didn't sacrifice any of it for the international audience. A rare, near-perfect translation, a new beginning for superheroes and for anime itself. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very, very much to those of you who already are. If you haven't heard, we started streaming on Twitch. Find us at twitch.tv/ToyGalaxy. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon or become a YouTube channel member. Please share this video and let us know in the comments down below who you think would win in a fight. Ronin Warriors, Samurai Pizza Cats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or the Street Sharks. Knowing what I know about the business, it's going to come down to who can move the most licensed merch, and that means the only team walking away from this fight is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's radical, I know. It's not how I would write it, but it's the truth.
Cut.